What we are seeing in Bitcoin is key. Notice how we have recently broken this guideline with a strong upward momentum. If we zoom in a bit, we will realize that the price has actually gone to look for the origin of the breakout of the bullish wedge, which now seems to be compressing. Notice how they compress it. And at the same time, we must take into account that we are coming from a strong downward momentum, and now we are experiencing a corrective pattern. And in this video, we are going to answer the question, what can we expect from Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? Well, if we analyze the Ethereum chart in its 1 hour time frame, we will observe that its price has been working on an ascending wedge that has come to look for a very relevant level in the market, and not long ago we saw how its price collapsed as a result. Regarding the collapse, we have identified the relevant level that is at $3,195, as you can see how the price has interacted with this level, and we attach great importance to this point being the final point of the downward momentum that was originated by the breakout of the ascending wedge. And if we zoom in now, we will see that here we also have a strong downward momentum, that here we have AEW that we could be working on, AI which is not entirely convincing, and from everything we see also in the chart, everything makes us think that we will go well. Now look at this dashed line, which is nothing more than a key guideline that has already been broken, and honestly it seems very strange to me that the price has not yet wanted to come and look for the origin of the breakout. An origin of the breakout that is destined to coincide with a clear area of defense to which we will attach great importance. And now that we are getting a little closer and being in the 15-minute time frame, we are going to be looking at this micro downward momentum that here has its W. This is a poor eye that they have gone to look for at the guideline. And here we have experienced a very aggressive Z. We are talking about a micro Z, since a moment ago I drew you a macro Z much higher up. Regarding this micro Z, we have come to identify what the structure is, the guideline of the Z. And for this, we have come to observe it in this time frame that you are seeing of 15 minutes. And for me, what has recently happened is nothing more than a trap. In other words, the guideline of the Z passes through here. And if you wonder why we want a guideline of the Z, why we want to identify it, it's because we frankly think that regarding the macro momentum, if this is the W and this is a somewhat poor eye, we can expect that at some point the price will want to go down. We'll see how. To come and look for the guideline, the origin of the breakout, and the area of defense. A more than interesting area, since the guideline referring to the corrective pattern would be passing through here, which would then give a good reason for the price to go look for a macro aggressive Z that breaks the ice and at least takes us back to $4,000 again. Something like that is what we are thinking. It makes sense to happen with Ethereum. And going back to Bitcoin, remember that we attach great importance to the $78,000 level. It seems very strange to us that they have not come to look for it, that we have a gap drawn here in Bitcoin. And now what we are analyzing in its price is, on the one hand, that yes, we have broken a key guideline, hence we see this explosion. And remember, as we were telling you in previous videos, that we were working here on a wedge of a Z, and that as long as it was not demonstrated otherwise, the market sentiment was going to continue to be bullish. So since we did not get an aggressive breakout of the wedge to the downside until that happened, we could only keep looking upwards. Let's remember that we are coming from a strong downward momentum, that here we have a W, this is a Y, and now we are experiencing an aggressive Z. An aggressive Z, which as many of you already know, this Z is one of its characteristics when it seeks this so aggressive and sharp modality. One of its characteristics is not knowing how far it will reach. What do we mean by this? That if they want this, they can continue to delay it without us knowing how far it will reach. What information does it give us? Well, one thing is clear, and that is that we have that preference, that bullish directionality for the immediate term, which we must continue to think about. But the information it gives you is that as soon as we see the level being broken, as it is being attempted right now, if we see a strong breakout, then we will have a bias to want to keep looking downwards for the immediate term. So in the end, we have that moral. This can fail here, who knows? This can keep going up. 1,000 things can happen, but we must follow these wedges with that preference to look upwards until the market tells us, no friend, I am already breaking your structures in a deterministic way. Therefore, it is time to start looking the other way. What can happen? It can happen that this is a W, and it can happen that this Y is not poor. It is complete. It surpasses the size as much as it wants. So, we will go look for that downward movement. From what has been said, we are facing zetas in other cryptos that, if they feel like it, keep going up, and we cannot know that. Well, how can we follow it? It has already been explained. In the case of Bitcoin and Ethereum, we would expect strong structural breakouts with confirmation both in Bitcoin and Ethereum. And in this way, we know if that zeta is going to dilate. Therefore, Solana would go for a normal I, which would be part of a a simple corrective pattern without a zeta. Prosperous. And now we have identified a key level that in the end is the origin of the breakout of the macro bullish wedge, and that is why we are noticing, perceiving this compression. Then on the other hand, if we calculate the harmonic of the bullish impulse to look for its replica, we will also realize that we have already reached it, and when the price reaches its harmonic, it does not always have to be fulfilled to the letter. But it is a moment in which perhaps the price may feel like doing something else. Do you know what would be interesting to see in Bitcoin? What would be very interesting would be to see that the price after this compression could collapse to come and look for the origin of the breakout. And here the ideal would be to see a gap in its price. But ultimately, whether a gap comes or not, or it fills it, the idea is to look for a replica of that impulse. And if I look for the measurement up to $78,000, they are sending us a message that such correction will not exist, and that it will go straight to $78,000. Frankly, we do not know this. But of course, we must be prepared for it, since also, very often, before breaking key structures, the price, the smart money, moves the price. It seems to compress it, and then it goes. We simply have to pay close attention and consider that it also makes a lot of sense that after this impulse, we experience some kind of correction to look for the continuation. In this way, we would be seeing how Ethereum is going to look for that macro zeta that I have shown you, while Bitcoin comes to heal this very strange event of leaving us with a gap and not coming to touch $78,000. What a strange event, I repeat, and this is how we could do it. Note, this does not mean that after hypothetically reaching $78,000 OS we can reach, for example, $150,000 EO, because in the end, we have to take a bird's eye view. Something that very few people do, to be honest, as many are confused by time frames. And that's why I invite you to always move your chart's time frame. Look, here you have the chart of Bitcoin in its daily time frame, and here we have this macro bullish channel. A macro bullish channel that, as you have seen, they've not yet come to recognize to contact the $78,000 level. A very strange event that makes me highly suspicious. Having said that, since we now have a bird's eye view to observe the long term, it would be unusual to find ourselves in a good buying moment. For the long term, of course, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't make sense to touch the line before seeking any kind of reaction. And if we zoom in now and switch to the 4-hour time frame, we'll realize that we do give importance to this macro guideline and its potential significance in the future, even though we might touch $78,000. Here, time might play a role, consuming time, and we'll see what happens if they even attempt to break it or not. Honestly, no one can predict all of this. We're just observing that this guideline suggests things are going to happen. You've seen how specific I am, and now I'll explain why it makes sense for it to happen with altcoins. But first, welcome to Crypto Insight, your ethical and moral channel for cryptocurrency technical analysis. Here, we really know what we're talking about. We conduct advanced technical analysis that has been developed for over 12 years. We upload videos several times a week. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, let me know and leave a comment with your opinion. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you don't miss the next opportunity. Now you're looking at the Cardano chart. As you know, we're in a macro bullish channel, which I'm going to correct now because I'm not liking the inclination it had too much. Now, yes, let's update it up there, and there we have it. All right, if you follow Crypto Insights videos, you'll know that the price level of 0.6789 for Cardano is crucial. Pay attention to this level. It has a long history, by the way, but that's not relevant now. Just notice that it's a key level. And now let's move down to the hourly time frame, and let's see what follows. Let's use this swing as momentum. So we'll notice that we're working with a hidden guideline, a concept that I haven't brought up much on the channel, but how functional it really is. Regarding this momentum, here we have the W. This is a Y that still needs time to unfold. And here we have the Z wedge, quite clearly defined. Some of you may remember, I don't recall if it was during a Crypto Insight live session or in a video, that at the moment of analyzing this point, this Cardano wedge was right here. And we had the question, hey, how is it possible that we're hitting against an age-old level from a very broad time frame and now working on a Z, knowing that Zs have their end when they encounter a very relevant structure? Remember, we only have a line that crosses through an entire daily Cardano chart, and that's where they've gone to make contact to seek their reaction. Honestly, I wasn't surprised at all. And now we've also identified the Z guideline, a guideline that has broken, and well, now it's struggling to confirm its purpose. Let's see if it goes down. That would be very good, since it would then be offering quite interesting opportunities opportunities. We know that AZ doesn't necessarily have to break the guideline that saw its birth. What does this mean? We'll see what happens. Maybe it just takes off and that's it. But in case it wants to go down, we'll see how it does it. When we're coming from a Z, the guideline it wants to break doesn't have to be pierced. And notice how that guideline aligns with a defensive zone. We've also identified in other cryptocurrencies, as I've shown you, and that could make us think the breakout might fail. Therefore, let's see if Cardano drops to the defensive zone. A very interesting area to wait and see if the price wants to look up. Continuing with altcoins, now you're looking at Solana. Notice that wedge we've been tracking, expecting it to collapse at some point, and in the end, look how it collapsed strongly. Regarding the collapse, we've identified that the price has reacted at the breakout origin not just once, but twice. Here, we also identify a guideline that seems like they might want to use in a future, perhaps not too distant. But be careful, as you can see from the analysis I'm providing, it makes sense to expect prior bullish movements. As for Solana, pay attention to the following. Here, we've identified its momentum. This is AW. This is a Y, and here we've experienced a Z that comes to impact against a relevant structure, which is nothing but the breakout origin. Hence, Solana hasn't compressed much, and its breakout is significant. This breakout validates the Z guideline. Alright, honestly, the Z guideline doesn't have to be broken downwards. It's not mandatory. But I also tell you that if we take a macro perspective on the momentum, this momentum here, for me, here we have the W. This is a weak I, so we'll be looking for a macro Z. And before going to look for it, for me, it's essential that the price and the script initially have to fall. We'll see how far. The goal will be to go after an aggressive macro Zeta, and will probably exceed the start module. Although this is already speculating too much, and here no one knows what's going to happen, but this is the idea we're currently working with. And if we now analyze Shiba Inu, let's see the following. People have gone crazy seeing how it explodes again in a crazy way. Hey, I don't blame them either. This is pure madness. And you'll also remember how we've been tracking this narcissistic accumulation process, where we were expecting a breakout at one point, then coming to test and then take off. But you know, Elon Musk decides to take out his phone, post a tweet, and there's no test that matters. And now let's switch to the 4-hour time frame. Take a look at how we're tracking Shiba Inu. Here we've formed a very interesting defensive zone, where you can see how the price establishes the level, and now that it's clear, let's switch to the hourly time frame. Once we're here, we'll notice that Shiba Inu has experienced compression against an interesting defensive zone that broke the crick, underwent a test, and now finds itself there. But look at what it's in. It's in compression in a wedge that originates from this downward momentum. Is here we have the W. This is a weak I, and here comes the Z party, a Zard. Well, maybe they're going after the breakout origin, which gives us the exact level. Or maybe they'll break it and go after the guideline with a climactic action. Perhaps they've had enough, or maybe they want to go a little higher before what you've thought about before, at some point collapsing, and it would make sense to go after the breakout origin, the compression that led to the bullish movement. And who knows if they'll look for some liquidity over the poke, that could also be, but here we're identifying very interesting areas, as I've shown you with other cryptocurrencies, to start that long-term continuity. Now tell me, what do you think of the crypto ecosystem? Are you positive or negative? Which cryptocurrency do you think will explode strongly upwards in the coming weeks? Leave me your opinion in the comments. Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell icon so that YouTube notifies you of future uploads. And of course, share this advanced technical analysis where we explain concepts that frankly you won't find elsewhere. And let's spread knowledge by sharing this video with your friends or other trading and cryptocurrency communities. Good luck, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.